I am pleased to welcome you to the third edition of the Management Discussion Panel. The question before us today is, what approach should managers take on child labor? On my right, I have Sophie Deborah, hi Sophie, from Norway, a consultant for Max Havelaar, a fair trade labeling organization. On my left, I have Jack Carter from London, an advisor for McKinsey. I will serve you as a moderator and timekeeper if necessary. Each debater will now have 90 seconds to make your point. Sophie, you're first.
Thank you. Child labor. There will always be pros and cons. Some managers, especially in the textile industry, will hire or outsource its production to developing countries where children are put in factories to work. This because it's cheaper for the company. However, they are depriving the children of their education and childhood, and some of them have to work under very harsh conditions. Instead, managers should take responsibility and make sure their suppliers are not using child labor. They should increase their payment to the producers so that they can afford to hire adults instead of exploiting the children. Not only will this improve the reputation of the company, but also help make society better as a whole. The children can get an education instead of working, and this will benefit the future growth of the country. The companies outsourcing its production to developing countries can afford an increase in production expenses. We, as consumers, can afford an increase in shopping. Can we afford to let child exploitation continue, even though it's not happening right here in America? I say no. No to child exploitation, and yes to managers and consumers taking more responsibility.
Thank you, Sophie. Jack, you're next.
Thank you. If asked, most people in our society will tell you that they are dead set against the concept of child labor. They look disapprovingly at developing countries where young children perform manual labor for long hours when they should be in school learning. Yes, they should be in school learning. Yes, they should be out, playing, and enjoying their childhood. However, we do not live in a perfect world. Child labor is pervasive for the simple reason that impoverished households who cannot meet their basic needs may depend on the income of their children for survival. In many cases, these families are so poor that every member of their family needs to work. It is likely that these families cannot afford the cost of education for their children. Even when schooling is ostensibly free, studies have shown that parents incur other direct costs such as activity fees, uniforms, paper and pens, textbooks, transport, lunches, and many more, which often result in the exclusion of poor children from school. I am stating the obvious to say that child labor creates an economic trade-off between labor and education. However, if their choice is either starving and going to school or survival, isn't survival the obvious choice? While the majority of NGOs work towards saving children from labor is seen as commendable, it has the potential to cause more harm than good. Foreign governments and organizations working toward making it illegal for these children to earn an honest income may in turn force them down dangerous paths. It is common for homeless children, or those without parents or adult supervision, to be pushed into the sex trade or towards other criminal activities in order to earn money to survive. In this context, working in sweatshops is a far better solution.
Thank you, Jack. Sophie, what do you have to say to that?
We in Max Havelaar believe it is possible to outsource textile production to developing countries without exploiting the children. We have 57 sister companies that are joining us now. We are not alone. Managers have a choice. Do you want to support the use of child labor, or do you want to help fight it? I think that answer is obvious. It's time for child labor to come to an end.
Thank you. Jack?
Thank you. The evils of child labor are indisputable, as is its economic necessity. I believe that child labor has a place in the world economy. Those of us in the developed world need to foster empathy for the families who have to put their children to work in order to survive. Organizations should not be spending their time fighting to abolish child labor, but rather work alongside it. They need to be realistic about the challenges these families face. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I want to thank you both for your assistance today in the show, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
A pleasure.